Okay. As the team continues on with the next stage of the months ahead, your adventure started off in an interesting way, with Aster helping out with the reconstruction of the city and, well, hopefully doing the job that was assigned to him. Soon enough, he found what looked like dowling rods in the ground. The workers were basically working and breaking through them, so he commanded them to stop. Examining them, dealing with magic, he said to work around them, which, you know, they did, but at that point, he kind of stopped working to figure out what was happening. He called in a few associates from the school, and more or less, you then were given a diviner from the Church of Light that you guys never met before because it wasn't, well, you're not really there. But nonetheless, it still exists. Mentioned many, many times. And you were told, Aster, that there was a temple there, that the temple used to belong to, I was about to say Bruno, but that made no sense at all. Wow, now I'm just blanking on the name. Tiamat's brother, Bahamut. Yeah. It took me a while. Don't know why I went with a B name, switching completely different. Anyways, and these rods were seeping away energy / magic away from the beings of light. You were given more or less a not exactly crypt riddle, and given there was an advisor / guard to watch after Aster, he advised to get rid of them or to destroy them. Aster stating, once that happens, there's no going back, so let's mess with these. Soon enough, attuned and brought in some celestial help to try to rewrite what it's supposed to do. The first go of it wasn't exactly successful, so using his boon with a god, incorporated that and suffused his thought patterns of doing good. However, it also did not fully work. However, with the blessing of God, a god exactly can't really fail, so that binding still stuck. At least some type of form of it, and that connection with the god stayed on the being. So not only are these dowling rods doing this, so are now the followers of that god. Or worshippers, depending. Not wanting to deal with this, he went into another location. A couple days afterwards, found more dowling rods after discerning that these things are everywhere within the capital city, as well as some other areas within the kingdom's borders. These things are years old. It didn't just happen immediately. But soon enough, found a good paired area, split apart from the main working group, had his own group fixing a well, found more rods, and then the rest of the group did the job he's meant to do. Just like a leader, getting the people to do the job before him. Which is actually, you know, appropriate since you have many other delegations to do. Sorry, not delegations. You have many other things to do, but this is quite literally supposed to be a punishment. But what can they do? They're commoners. But more on that later. Thane going to school and generally more or less potentially stealing from the kingdom, potentially at first, but then decided against it. Found the treasury. And knows the passcode in the general area, so they could bamf in there without too much of an issue. That is generally blocked off by magical inscriptions, but because he's been there before, he knew about them, or was aware enough that he immediately cast a dispelling area to dispel the area for some time, but not forever. Looking into some of the areas that didn't have locks on them, found a few books. Discerned some things about a primordial and potentially a theory of it breaking apart after so long of being housed underground or theoretically within the Earth's coil. Soon enough, you decided to maybe take one of these books after discerning that these things could give you a stat boost out of game, make you stronger in game. You spoke with Aster because, might as well if you have the ear of the king, and if he said no, you could probably just steal it. But you pressed forwards, and Aster did state, yeah, but let's talk with my sister first. She probably has something to say about it. She said, sure, I suppose, as long as the king is fine with it. However, we don't have that many of these, and these are generally to be used if needed at a later point in time. Aster more or less said, you can take one, but you have to swear fealty to me and the kingdom. Thane said, counter offer. Just you and your bloodline, and I'll help the kingdom so long as your bloodline is still here. Swearing fealty, you were then given access to the book, took it. Later on, Aster's sister did state, when you're finished with the book, place it within the treasury or give it to the guard. You said, you didn't say anything about that. And he's like, you really should have, but whatever. He's the king. She didn't give you that attitude, but I probably should have told Aster that. It would have made sense, but whatever. Live and learn. Thane has the book, and potentially in another 100 years, we'll have the book again. That happened, and you then spent some time with his sister, inquiring about a few things here or there about her. Went to one of her classes. She failed because she didn't meet the assignment. She did something else. So that happened. She felt sad, and that happened. Although, who knows, maybe she wasn't really sad, and this was all an act, and Thane fell for it. Yet again, the true evil person prevails. Who knows? However, while in class, there was a weird phenomenon that happened as within the city borders, and maybe beyond, a strange facsimile of light just spread out in an area. Wanting to figure out what that is, Thane broke a window and looked out, was chastised by the professor. As he mended it, you broke it again. Your wife then looked through the window as well, and then you both teleported out. He is contemplating kicking you out of the school and might try to do that within this time. But again, you have the ear of the king. You went towards the epicenter of what you believe is the area. And what happened was Aster was messing with the rods again. Imbuing his strength and will of mind, he went through what felt like a tsunami, breaking through it with a pinpoint accurate mind. So much so that instead of pushing you back this time, you were able to bypass it, reaching the, eye of the storm. There was an orb with that same hidden voice of this message. And you used your own bounded weapon and dug into the sphere itself, relenting your own message of, above all, do good. I asked you what that meant, and some of it did imply killing people.
Sometimes a motherfucker's gotta die.
I understand this. But this is an inanimate object that doesn't understand context. So instead of, considering my words into advisement, nah, let's go with it, see what happens. And, fair. I shouldn't always try to help you guys in situations.
It's you asked for Aster's idea, and that's Aster's idea.
Yeah. Just letting you be remembered of that. However, as that happened, three people, 4 people, because you asked for a floorman, not an actual floorman, I just couldn't remember the word, looked at Aster while he was in meditative state. He began to drag out his weapon. They were panicked, and then the weapon disappeared. And then soon after, a massive influx of energy just brought itself back into the world because the energy that was seeping in had to go back out since there was nothing containing it anymore. Who knows if that blessing is gone or not? But Aster's new words now stand within the divining rods, or dowels, as they kept calling them. You woke up, Thane met up, and you spoke about things. You guys went to dinner, spoke with Aster's sister, contemplated, could this have something to do with primordials? Worried because you kept connecting a few things that may or may not make total sense, but maybe kind of. She panics, so she more or less finished your meal, and it is a very high stress level trying to see if there's anything to do with that, but we'll find out later. Within that time, Yoko, which is a couple of weeks, what were you doing? Like, up to the point when you guys are having dinner. Like, you messaged in chat, like, you're gonna hold a tourney and not invite that one big buff dude with the sword.
Yeah, because he dominates.
But was there anything else you were doing?
Well, she'd be going to the magic college to study magic a bit, and then training with Sprite and Peter, well, for as long as he sticks around.
He is there potentially until you go to war, and like you send him off to a battlefield, or potentially if someone tries to kill the king. If he had to guess, he is, or his people specifically, owes a favor to the kingdom and crown, so they're paying it forwards now. So he'll be there for a while. But what, what kind of class are you looking for? Within this current time frame, you can definitely get a level 2 or below spell.
Well, she'd be focusing on abjuration, illusions, conjuration,
Evocation?
maybe a bit of evocation, yeah. More stuff to like supplement her fighting style rather than just full on war mage stuff.
Yeah. Oh, I was quite literally reading the thing you reposted. Okay. Examining all this and attributing your own thought patterns into what you should learn. Unless you're trying to like really speed up learning a new spell, you can most definitely learn a new spell. So that much is clear. So you can definitely pick a level 2 or below spell. So while you're
she wouldn't be trying to like, she wouldn't be trying to like really speed it up. She just, well, since she's not in any particular hurry.
Yeah, that makes sense. You begin to learn your spells here and there, and from time to time you do see Thane before he may or may not get kicked out of school. More or less in the background, smoking his pipe, being the cool kid in class. And sometimes you see Aster's sister also there, not doing any of that. In fact, she's usually in the front row unless someone takes that seat before her, and diligently taking notes. From time to time, butchering the name, Fiel does state towards you, Yoko. If there's anything you need help with, let me know. I am the vice president of the Magic Club, so if there's any contingencies, or you haven't really been in the city that often, I can only imagine, as a foreigner. So if there's any general advisement or anything you want to see, just let me know and I might be able to help.
Well, I'd be interested in finding out if there are any particularly skilled bladesmiths in the city.
Let's see here. She takes out a very diligent, what looks like a planner, folds it open, and there is quite literally a map of the entire city in it. There are also keyframe points where it has smiths, bakers, and all of that, and she does state, let's see, swordsmith specifically, I believe there's 2 currently, as the former one we used to hold within the treasury, not the treasury, but within the king's own general circle, had fled ever since Aster took power, fearing potential execution. I believe now he is in Luminera. So these 2 are the current ones we have to work with within the city. One is named Fenelheim, a dwarven mage crafter of various cold steel weaponry. And I don't even know how to pronounce this name. Yeah, sure, why not? I'm just gonna butcher it. Gordeno? I myself haven't gone there before, so I'm not entirely sure if that's how you pronounce it. But they are from the kingdom to our west, and they have a structured line of not generally any magical weaponry or arsenal, but they do create weapons that are non-magical that have a baseline of +1 and above. So if any of that's helpful to you.
Yes, it is. I'll have to go and take a look. Can you show me where I can find them?
Certainly. She gives you details on where you'll find them. Fenelheim is to the north of the city, and Gordeno is to the west of it. And generally, those are they are segregated by choice, because often not people of the same culture segregate themselves, even though that's not necessary. But, you know, things you're familiar with, you generally gravitate to. So the Dwarven district, you know where it is, and the technically Gordeno is a Goliath, but he's within the best way I can describe it is foreign market area. So like there's a menagerie of people there. But she does state, these are their places of business. If you need anything else, just let me know. But good luck with your studies.
Thank you. You as well.
Hey, my doorbell just rang, so I'll be right back.
No problem. Yoko then, not Yoko, she begins to trot off, going to study something about conjuration of mass and matter. Who knows what that means? You've seen Thane create a familiar. You know what that means. Anyways, she trods off with that type of book in her hand. But go ahead and roll for me a perception check. And yes, I know Yoko has a very high perception check. This is still required. This is generally what I imagine what it'd be. Examining it, you can tell that the current book she has under hand, it feels off. Based off of how it's written, the typography on top of it, it does read mattered form and the construction and reconstruction of. And that is a very cold way of writing this type of material, especially for this day and age. Most authors have standard ways of doing it, or putting their name in it, Heffernam's Magical Tomes, or Mordenkainen's rules of magic, something along those lines. Something so callous, in a way, feels weird. But, you know, she begins to head into the hallway and trot along. But nonetheless, you begin to do your preparations, things of that nature. You go to your classes here and there. And once you finish typing, I will see what happens in time as well. Yeah, probably. Like, that's probably an actual book that you're typing in. You begin to study, and soon enough, you do learn your spell. You practice with Sprite and the rest of the gang, and there are some people that, like, come towards your circle to see, like, hey, you mind teaching me, or if you have time. Some back alley kid also threw their ball over the guard post, comes over towards the fence, and you like pull him over to teach him fencing. Over the course of time, you get along with a good amount of people within the military branch of society, which, not unsurprising. And that one kid you randomly picked out of the street because Aster made a joke. But soon enough, days do pass, and then the whole explosion of magic enters into the world. You're all at the kitchen table, and that's a thing that's happened. Aster, I would assume if you're here, you told people, like, what exactly is going on?
So,
yeah, I would have let people in.
Continue. Could you tell me about that master blacksmith that fled again?
Oh, sure. She didn't give you a detailed name, but let's say she did. The master blacksmith's name was Walter Pierce. They themselves, it's kind of hard to tell who or what exactly they were. Always wore a hooded trench coat with an iron mask. The only way she knows the actual name, because it's written in the documents. Otherwise, they just known them as the Iron Mask. As general as that is, it's still a little weird. This person made magical armaments, newfound weapons for king and crown, but mainly for the circle of people that the king decided to give weapons to. And the like, including family members within the area. I believe if she showed you, which, let's say she did, there are some armaments within the kingdom's treasury that has some of his weapons already there. And there are weapons designed and made for Aster's brother, now dead, and Aster's sister, who is still alive. For now. But yeah, you have this knowledge, and Walter Pierce headed over to Luminera and is currently there in exile of self-imposement. Again, doesn't want to be killed off by Aster.
Okay, thanks.
Or didn't. You don't know how he feels now. But yeah, Aster goes to explain about Dowling rods he found to mess with. Probably didn't say it in this way. And imbued in them the message, above all, do good. Doing so released a whole bunch of energy, ensnared and entrapped. And Aster, go ahead and roll for me an insight check. Okay. From what you can tell, the binding of the adventurer god, or the god of luck, is still within the Dowling instrument. Because you basically imbued your will and called upon God to help you in this, there's like no real way, unless you call upon the god again, to get rid of it. It's not to say it's a bad thing currently, from what you can tell. It just means that the followers of the god will also, in the back of their mind, adhere to these words. They have, their own general dispositions of what they do and things of that nature. If they're evil, if they're good, blah, blah, blah. An adventurer is an adventurer. but that is in their heads now. Thane did mention something about primordial being potentially being broken apart within the kingdom's walls of various kingdoms, and potentially, according to the theory, potentially the fourth time I said that, there are fundamental parts of it broken between borders, and Fayo is going to examine that. Apani, I'm going to say, is doing general work within the city borders and walls, so she's gone for most of this. But, she heard that last part, and then, trotted off to do some good in town. It is very late evening, and more than likely you do rest for the night. And we will begin the next few weeks as well. So, going from left to right, Thane, what do you do for the next coming days?
Come back to me, let me think. Sorry.
Aster, what do you do? There's a whole bunch of political things you might need to deal with, and there's also your own punishment. There are potential rumors and things of that nature. Thane himself heard a whole bunch of rumors that's already been spread, and those are the good ones of potential spiciness within your life.
When I put my sword into the orb, did I keep the hilt? Or did the whole thing disapparate?
I contemplated the whole thing disappearing. Because that only makes sense. Why would the hilt not also disappear?
Just curious.
No, I understand that. It's just, how would that work out? Unless it's a very shoddy job. You always swing with it and it keeps getting loose.
It just keep the pommel keeps falling off.
Yeah.
Yuko, you dodged a bullet on this sword. It's a piece of shit. When I get the chance, I'd like to ask my sister if she thinks I'm worthy of reading one of those tomes. And I would like to call upon the Knight Captain and ask him to teach me that blade ability that he knew.
Okay. Do you remember which blade ability?
All-out attack.
Okay. Your sister comes over, looks towards you, and she does state, whether or not I consider you worthy is irrelevant. In this general matter, just saying, you quite literally have most of the power within the kingdom. So you can do so if you want to.
That isn't what I asked.
Okay. I see you being capable of being such an individual, but I have no general fundamental understanding of your entire being as of now. So, for certain, maybe 75%, I am sure. But since we have not communed for some time, I am unclear of an entire answer.
Of course. Forgive me for my extended absence. If there's ever anything you would like to talk about or simply ask for, please let me know.
Oh, it's fine. I understand. Needing to spread your wings. Father often and not, when he could, jotted off to do various works as well. Never really telling us what he was doing. So I've grown accustomed to these things. I'm just stating as a point of fact, as a politician, what my current viewpoint is. On a personal matter, I do believe you are a sincere enough individual to house one of these tomes and put them back as soon as you've used them, like you've told Thane, obviously.
I did not.
You can tell she knows. Even with your passive perception, you can tell she knows. Oh, well, these things do happen.
Given the nature of his employment, I was willing to make the trade.
Again, you are the king. You know she's just giving you sass because she's your sister. But she does state. But yes, I do believe you are capable, personally, on a personal note. That being said, you wanted to call forwards the Knight Captain? Sure. I can get him here. I do believe he's currently on an outing, but he should get here in a couple days, around 2.
Thank you.
Of course.
And again, if you have any questions, I know we don't know each other as well as either of us would like. Feel free to simply ask whatever is on your mind.
Of course. I should state that some rumors are being spread as of now, which is not unexpected, about your current love life. None based on anything, I am assuming. That being said, though, I did speak with Thane about this, and they more or less proved most of it true, as well as Jess, that they are forming some type of group with very beautiful people. Don't know what he was inferring there. You can tell she's also messing with you at this point in time, but she does state. That being said, though, it won't take long until other different kind of rumors spread out, so take that under advisement however you will. Just saying, people talk, as she heads out.
Of course. Thank you.
Soon enough, the guard captain does come forwards after his trek out of the city and back into it. He comes towards you and he does state, sorry about that. It took quite longer to go to diplomatic routes around non-standard cities. But your sister did mention you wanting to speak with me?
I did. Quite some time ago, when you did not know of me being the king, you offered to teach a blade art to one of my companions.
Yes.
Would you teach it to me?
Are you a swordsman?
Of a sword?
Okay. Hopefully this translates well. Generally, you want to use your focused into energy and outburst it all completely in one go. That being said, he goes on to explain the detailed way of doing this, and for him, it does involve a sword, so he can't train you separately, but you can maybe try to translate it into your own fighting style.
I can learn it with a sword for now.
Yeah. He teaches you how to do it, and more or less you will likely have to practice on this. Do you remember what it does? If not, I can just tell you again.
It's instant critical hit, right?
What it basically does is it auto-crits your wave of attacks for the turn. That being said, though, you have disadvantage on the attack. So if you don't hit, you just don't hit. That being said, it's not impossible for someone like you to miss. You can find your own ways of doing things. But yes, it's basically a auto crit attack that burns in heavily. It does require a bonus action to do this type of feat. To like give yourself it just auto crit attacks if hit. All right, don't really know anything beyond this kind of skill set. That being said, if you decide to use things other than blades to do this, let me know. Maybe I can like figure out something with a pole arm. Topic for another time. I am supposed to give this to the council, but you know, you're heading over there. Soon? Maybe. I heard you're doing construction work within the city. Impressive, by the way. A lot of people don't do that. He hands you what appears to be a file documenting does state. The general highlighted notes of that generally states that the small village of Formala is currently fine and stable. However, there are some things that are going on in town. Mainly that new merchants have crept into the area. Well, new merchant. There's really nothing else other than that. They're paying their tithes to the kingdom. And so far, everything looks good.
Thank you. I will be sure to relay this message to the council.
All right. Detailed report in the file. And then he heads off. Good luck with the training. And I think that was it for these couple of days, Aster. I'm not entirely sure. Obviously, you do your work for the city that you're supposed to do the work for. Unless you don't again. The foreman was very upset several times. Not that Aster picked that up. You go off, do your work, and, you know, advice was given, and advice can just not be remembered. You are sent with a guard, and only one, because way too many will show too much presence. Way too little will... it's like not even a punishment at that point. So a guard is needed for this. You continue on with the work, and whenever you find a dowel, you just tell the foreman, work around this. Yep, heard you the fourth time. I don't know if you're just... He like looks towards you. You gonna meditate around this thing again?
I'm pretty sure myself that I connected to the network, right?
Yeah.
Oh, then no.
Hey, work around the rods. He then does the job. Like, you're not always attuned to it, but you can attune to the thing. I'm just stating that outright. You begin to work around them and begin to do your job. This next section of the city is still the wall. It's still within that time frame. And we move over to another individual. Going back to Thane. Thane! Next couple of days / weeks, what are you doing?
Probably just researching magic stuff.
Okay. You begin to research magic stuff, and examining things, you can tell that, I should not have been easily able to make those rings. There's definitely a role that needed to be involved. Oh well, closes the book, throws it away, chucks it in the trash bin. For sure, I forgot to make you do a roll, but whatever. You have the rings.
Did,
I don't care enough. I'm pretty sure that's what my words were.
Yeah. Mostly just looking into some magic and more into, I forgot his name already.
The guy you're hunting?
Yeah.
I think it's in your back catalog, not back catalog, background info sheet.
Yeah, the weird elf, the thick elf.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I gotta go meet those people again. I'm gonna go do that during some of this time.
You harass mercenaries again, as you...
I mean, I hired them to do a job.
You mess with them first. Anyways, while examining magical fields here and there, you are able to understand a few concepts of magic itself. Mainly that the source of magic is not pooled in one place. Many consider that the weave, it's its own isolated area, and people pluck from that the energy or structured form of a spell that's already there, just needs to be plucked from that web. But no, you within some time, do learn a few things here and there. Maybe you speak with Fiel, or maybe we speak with a teacher that hasn't kicked you out yet, because he tried to speak with things, but he was thrown under the rug, basically ignored.
I don't think I've ignored any.
No, the professor that's trying to kick you out of school. He was ignored for some reason. You
I
over
wonder
here.
why.
Could
there
be
was
something,
one?
could be nothing. I don't know if you look into it. But nonetheless, when you're examining magic schools and magic itself, you can tell that there are a whole bunch of sources, but the main sources you know, or know now, are the standard magic weave, the dark weave, which is a considered concept and spell source area that many people that use necrotic energies draw power from. People believe that it originates from the Shadowfell. There is the fairy source, which a lot of beings from the Feywild draw their energy from, which is chaotic, which is bewildering, which is wild. There is the source of the Celestials and the source of the Infernal as well. However, that amount of information is cataloged within themselves, and generally they don't share it. But some people do believe that if these types of beings are like drawn strength from, or let's just say a whole bunch of creatures from these two planes of existence have been brought to the point of near extinction for magic supplies.
I also want to research back when, try to find as much research as I can on the fights with the gods and stuff back before they left.
Yeah. Other than theory, you do get like general stories. Long ago, the gods and the primordials were as one family, but a found family, as beings drawn into a world. The gods themselves spoke with the primordials, and in turn, they spoke back. But in speaking, their words began to draw a formulation of matter and created new things, new life. The gods created what is considered the humanoid beings of the realm, and later on, some other gods came forwards and drew in their creations from a different area. The primordials drew in the things known as too many monstrosities or beings of the earth. These two beings then more or less fought with one another. Presumably that is why the gods and primordials fought, because their creations began to fight, and well, when you create something, you generally don't want it destroyed. Soon enough, their entire parties began to draw in wave after wave after wave, and their creations, out of no longer bliss, no longer general communal joy, became those of valor, of strength, of kinship, of kindness, or violence, destruction, and turmoil, giving more and more way to violent storms or creatures beyond normal heights. Soon enough, the primordials were drawn back after more and more beings that the gods created began to worship the gods in a way that drew power and strength. After all, they were driving more energy from something else. In theory, is believed that they drew power and that source from, giving their power more and more strength. Soon enough, the gods were able to nearly, if not destroy, wipe away the primordials, them being flung into potential different planes of existence, or being driven into the very earth they formed their creations from. Then, soon enough, a spring of peace happened. However, it did not come without bloodshed. After all, if the monsters that the primordials created are still on the world, well, there is yet work to do. Which is why from time to time, wars, structured form, new kingdoms, form within time. This is generally a story that people tell, a creation myth, and like why war happens, why we're fighting with these certain people. And like why bad things exist in the world.
Okay.
Or why good things exist in the world. But soon enough, you go and speak with the mercenary guild that works in that tavern. I don't know if you harass anyone or awkwardly stalk the area until someone tells you why are you stalking the area. But you more or less eventually walk in, speak with the half-orc body guard / bartender. You again, spend some time. What do you want?
My information.
You have it? I heard my information.
Mm-hmm.
You have it? We gave you a detailed report.
Did they?
Last spotted within the third ring of the second section of Luminera. This is also off the top of my head. He did give you a field report.
In Luminaire, Layer 2, Area 5.
Yeah, sorry. Mix those things up.
Okay, I'm sorry about that.
You just never went there, man.
I know, I need a break for a minute, sorry.
It's all good. You harass this man a little bit more. Yoko, what are you doing with these next couple days / weeks? Oh, sir, you muted.
Well, I think I'll try and go find those 2 smiths that are in the city. Fenelheim and Gordeno.
Yeah.
And see if they'd be willing to take on an apprentice or something of the sort for a bit.
Gordeno the Goliath does look towards you and he does state, apprentice, can you swing a hammer?
Yes, I do have a bit of smithing experience, so I'm looking to learn more.
If you already have a background in it, why are you trying to become an apprentice? This is usually work done at the age of 10.
Perhaps I misspoke then. I'm looking to see if you would take on a student, well, myself as a student, to help me further my skills.
Roll persuasion. I sound always. For some reason, I feared you also had a very high persuasion.
No.
The man does look towards you. I don't really do any of those enchantment things. And based off of your sword and the rest of your garments, a lot of it shining, a lot of it magical. Sword sparks with electricity. Probably not the best teacher for you. No offense.
Well, considering all my equipment is carried by its enchantments, wouldn't it be a good idea to make sure, well, to improve my unenchanted abilities?
I deal with reinforcement, structured form, and a structured form so strong it could fall down a mountain and not even have a dent or a scratch in it. I don't do magic. If you think this is something you really want, we can test run this. Don't expect much from you, though. No offense. My type of smithing requires a lot of strength.
Well, I think I'll be on my way then.
Is your strength score not that high?
No, it's 10.
Okay, yeah. It would be very difficult. He's a good teacher. It's just maybe not the best one for you. I'm wondering why I named him Funnelheim. I know it has something to do with funnel cake, but I forget the second part. Why? Don't remember. Funnelheim does look towards you, and after he finishes his second breakfast, he comes over towards you, looks you up and down. You're about a little bit taller than him. Uh-oh. We lost Aster. Hopefully he gets back to us. Or at least messages. He does stay towards you. Pleasure to meet you. So you want to be an apprentice, is what you said?
Oh, I'm looking to improve upon my skills.
Right then. I am a general field expert. I can deal with low-grade enchantments and things of that nature. My weapons are there to impress. If you do believe you have arcane intellect for it, and at least some strength behind your blows, we can definitely try to go with this. We can go for a week-to-week payment method of 100 gold.
Well, I guess I'm gonna have to find some work elsewhere first. I'm afraid I don't have the money.
Well, good luck to you then. I do know there are some other traders that might be able to assist you if you're looking to do these things as well. Perhaps a blacksmith of non-exact skill work might be able to need a hand, or maybe a baker of some sort to train yourself in beforehand. But good luck to you.
Yes, thank you for your time, and thank you for your suggestions.
He nods, heads over to do more of his work. Yeah. Those are the people that are there. Looking at their work, it is generally good work. With Gordeno, you can tell that his swords are dense. They are quite strong and they are quite sturdy. Drop him on someone, it could probably cut him in half with just the sword alone. But no magic. With Funnelheim, you can tell that he mainly structures his blades to look good, as well as have an enchanted flair to them. While the weapons themselves are passable, it's more about the gravitas of things and the general enchantment. You can tell while he is more favored with people that want to show off. But also, magic weapon. He also wants to charge you, while the other guy didn't, but you're not sure if you could do the other guy's training.
Well, we didn't even make it to the payment part of the last guy's talk, so...
I would tell you that he wasn't charging you.
Okay.
Like, he did say we can have a go at it, and he would have told you if he needed to pay. So I'm just going to tell you outright, you wouldn't have to pay for that guy. You're just not potentially strong enough for that.
Hey, a dogma.
What's up?
I'm gonna have to go. I'm not feeling so well. I need to go lay down.
Yeah, no problem. Get some rest, man.
Alright. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, hope you feel better soon.
Yeah, y'all have fun.
Rest up. Being discouraged by two blacksmiths that basically said, do you have enough strength? No. Do you have enough cash? No. You make away. During a following night, Thane, Aster, Yoko, you all meet up again. Aster learning your new trade and Yoko learning your new magic. I swear I heard Aster doing his talk to speak thing.
I unmuted myself as well.
Oh, okay.
I'm coughing a bit, so I'm trying to keep myself muted.
No problem. Everyone's sick today. I probably should have canceled this session if I knew people were putting in well.
I don't want to cancel an online session for being a little under the weather. It's okay.
I understand, but there's also your health. But okay.
I had a liftgate fall on me. My health, that ship has sailed.
Still. You all meet up again, talking about your days or not talking about your days. Yeah, I'm gonna say your sister's there. Is she? Why wouldn't she be? Unless you kicked her out
No.
after making fun of her again. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention this, but she did fail her magic class, but she did make an egg. She has it in a pouch to her side, and she still hasn't. It hasn't hatched or anything. It has been a few weeks, though. Fial does look towards both of you and does state, if you complained about your days or talked about your days, she would state to Yoko, if this is something you need that could potentially benefit you and my brother's general excursions out into other locations, we could potentially fund this. However, only if there is a tie to you and the kingdom, other than friendship.
No, I'm already a bit tied to one kingdom. I'd rather not cause potential problems by doing the same in another one. If you know of any ways I could earn some money around here, that'd be great.
There
Perhaps there are some people that want or need some swordsmanship training.
I'm gonna have her make a roll to see if she finds anyone that specific. 15 plus modifier of wisdom. No, let's make it intelligence. I don't know if they're looking for it still, but the Kingdom of Luminera is looking to train one of their house sons in swordsmanship.
I'm assuming that's in Luminera, though?
Yes. Other than that, I can maybe direct some nobles that are maybe wanting to impress a few people. You might be able to arrange a payment of an incredible amount to squeeze some funds out of them, far more than usual.
Well, I'm not real good at talking to people, so...
If you like, I can deal with the negotiations.
Yes, I would like that.
Very well then. Are you trying to go to Luminera or trying to scam? She wouldn't say scam. Deal with the nobleman. He's here.
I would prefer to remain here for now.
Very well then. And these noblemen are new individuals that Aster has assigned titles to. After all, you can't run a kingdom that is meritocracy without titles. So not every placeholder name is fully filled, but you know, some And some of them are from former nobles as well. Not everyone was bad. It's just, when the leader's bad, the entire deck burns up in a fire. After all, you can't really say no to a kingdom of a king that has full power. Or maybe not.
Well, you can. You just end up not living very long.
Yeah, I digress though. She's gonna likely target some of these individuals, and I want to see how many people she gets. Let's roll a d6. She gets... I'll give you 2 people that you squeeze money out of. Looking towards Aster and talking about his day. Did you perhaps manage to get the book yet?
It is in my possession, though I have not read it or started to.
All right. You went down into the treasury. You are aware of it. You just never been there in person. The guard in front begins to look towards you, salutes, and key patterns it in. You go inside and you find the Oni shelf that doesn't have a book right next to it, so it's leaning to the side. The guard does state, if there's any other doors you need to open, just let me know. I do have the keys. And you do see like every 4th cubby or shelf is currently locked. Some by magic, others by non-magical means. And when you enter inside, he was the one that stepped in first. He did make it a point for him to step in first.
Thank you, guardsman. That'll be all for now, though.
Very well. He does like gesture for you to move out of the room first. Maybe you ask him why, and he does state, those currently in the guardsmanship, unless they have a good amount of strength behind them magically, are the keys to keep the alarm system off so long as we are inside and breathing, as well as willing.
I see.
Yes. Thankfully enough, this is something we understand. This. I'm not sure if I told this to your companion, the one garbed in all the cloth, but he came down here not that long ago and requested one of our books. So he did have your seal, of course. And then another time he did come down here wanting to look where some of our equipment were. And at that time, you did state that he was a trusted individual. I'm just making you aware of these circumstances.
He is, yes.
Of course.
Do not let him take anything without my seal, of course, but he is free to come and view as he pleases.
Very well, then. You begin to trot off, and present time, she does state, all right, then. It shouldn't take you more than a couple days to read the book. That being said, though, getting on topic of what I found, I haven't found anything dealing with the primordials just yet, and this strange delving system. I went to do the records, and there was a large excavational point when Father really ramped up archaeological digs roughly 5 years ago, right around the time I was currently not in the kingdom, when I was having talks with Luminera, until those were broken off by Father himself. This is currently the only project I am aware of that would have the widespread resources as well as the manpower to potentially put the rods within the city walls as well as potentially other places, as you mentioned, Aster. If you mention that, she says that. If you don't, she doesn't. Like the rods are outside of the border of the city as well.
Gotcha. Yeah, I would have told her.
Yeah, then she says that.
Present.
She then states, however, since taking back up office, as you yourself have, various of these dig sites were shut down as there was no immediate need for them. But if I had to gather, some of the sites were off the record and some were on the record. So she gives you detailed notes of where some of these rods could be. And you are more or less aware that, yeah, they're probably there. And, you know, of course, there are some things that don't fit. Some funding is a little bit higher in other places that there are in others, but with less dig site areas, which just means that some things are off the record. But you generally know where these things are when you attune to them.
I'll try to draw along to my attunement to them, and I'll mark out any missing locations on a map that isn't on the record.
Yeah. Too bad you aren't Thane and you don't have eidetic memory for a month. But, you know, go ahead and roll history. It shouldn't be that difficult, but I want to see you do it.
Before I roll, can I not just try to reattune to them?
You are currently in your castle that has no rods. Do you like take one from one of the dig sites and like?
No, I wasn't sure if it was like a mental link I had or not. So it's I have to like be physically next to it.
Yeah, it's like with the sword. You have to like attune to it while you're holding onto or beside it. Yeah. DC to beat was 10. I just wanted to see if you failed. Honing in your strength and attuning to it, you find one like in the garden area of the castle. A maid was very upset that you dug up a whole bunch of dirt and you said, housekeeping. And she went away. You're also the king. She wouldn't have said anything, actually. You attune to the Dowling rods, and soon enough, you do mark off the areas around it. That same message plays through and through as you're like scrying to locate areas of these Dowling rods that are not located. And a lot of them are in some grass areas, some in mountain areas. And from what you can tell, a lot of them are in cities, sure. But some are like pinging in areas that are not within cities. Maybe they're in villages that are small enough that they're not on the map. But you do have like 100% of these by the end of a day. And like that much is clear. Do you ever like scry in the area some of these are in, or do you like just scry enough that you locate it and move on? One takes longer than the other.
Yeah, the ones that aren't like marked on the map and like seemingly random locations, I'll scry onto those. Okay.
It takes more than a day, but you do scry into areas that some of them have. Some of them are in caves, others in water systems. You know, that does make sense. One was in a well. But others are in shrines. Some are in statuaries, and others are generally in the ground. You can tell that some of these places are consecrated, and some of these are not, as if deconsecrated.
Desecrated?
Desecrated, thank you. I just couldn't remember the word. Some of these are natural shrines, others on man-made. Or humanoid-made, whatever you want to say. But you can tell the locations of these areas. Some of these sources, you do see people here and there. Humans, elves, dwarves, mainly. But in some of the areas that you do find, there are lycanthropes, some tabaxi, and an Aasimar of tiefling here and there. But not that many. Like, just because it's not the main populace of the kingdom doesn't mean they don't exist. But Astrid, I want you to go ahead and roll just a luck check, D20. It's a 7. You scry into an area, and there you do find, at a distance where you can see, 2 people currently discussing a few things. One of them does seem to be a drow, and the other one seems to be a robed up person, bandaged up with gauze. The drow themselves are speaking with this bandaged up individual, and from what you can tell, the individual seems to be coated in fur between the areas that some of the bandages don't fully cover. While you can't tell what the drow is saying, if you have the feat that can give you lip reading, you could potentially get half of the message being spoken.
I don't.
Okay, you just see this happening. The drow then nods towards them. This potential tabaxi or fur-coated individual, maybe just a very hairy man, nods and then whistles. Soon after, just an assortment of individuals robed up and hooded, and some of them look like tigers, others look like boars, some look like minotaurs, and they bandaged one looks towards the drow and says something you don't understand or can't actually hear. The drow then nods and begins to walk into the forest, and the others begin to walk with this bandaged individual further into the woods. And then after some time, you just don't see anything.
Where was this located?
This was close to the forest of the bordering area that you've been to before. However, it's not the exact location you've been to before. World map. This is within the bordering area of your kingdom and Iskara. However, it is further to the west of it. So, closer to Quen, which is the kingdom to your west.
Oh, we didn't switch the map.
Oh, right. It'd be around here.
I'll have one of those specialized scouts dispatched to that area.
All right. You'll be able to communicate with them in a couple of days. You do so, and going back to you guys potentially together, Fael does state, yes, other than this, I have heard word that some rumors are being spread, beyond general romanticized ones. Negotiations being spoken behind current legislation, and rumors of the supposed accident to Sir Emerald not being an accident, as it did happen within the capital's walls. I'm not sure the sources of these, but I will investigate further.
If anyone asks, simply tell the truth.
Very well. That being the case, though, it might not look entirely favorably towards you, but if that is what you decree as king...
It means that we do not need to cover anything up.
She then, breaks formality for a second and, talks to you as a sister. Look, I get it. Understandable. Want to be as transparent as possible. It might not look the best for you, your team, and everything else going on. We just had a transfer of power that wasn't exactly bloodless. And having a nobleman die by your feet, while not actively by you, isn't exactly a good thing. We don't want the current new established system that is currently working on things still to be in any way defaced.
I see. Well, do as you see fit then.
Okay. She sighs with a relief. I'm not saying I'm going to lie. I'm just saying that we will try to find these sources of these rumors and see what is happening. I don't know if we caught every individual that is a turncoat within our own governmental system. and that guard that attacked him, we looked into it, and the I want to say Inquisitor. Who's the guy that gets answers like by any means possible in medieval times?
You could say Inquisitor.
Okay. I know there's a specific name. I'm gonna go with Inquisitor. And the Inquisitor that was able to read their mind and use greater image to show their memories. A traded skill both I and he learned in Luminera with our time there. Was not able to see any deceivement within their own mind. So, speaking the truth, he did speak it. I'm not saying it was you, but whoever it was could clearly disguise themselves, so a concern. But I'll get to it as soon as possible. And I'll try to avoid needing to speak the truth. In a good way.
You're not bound by the same oaths as me. Do not fret. I trust your judgment.
Right. I don't mean to lie. I'm just stating that circumstances as they are, I will try to avoid needing to go into that line of thought. But all right. If you guys need anything else, let me know. She like looks towards the current moon. But other than that, I do need to get some rest for school tomorrow and the rest of things to come. She trods off, and you guys finish your dinners. At least the transfer of power was quick. That's technically true. And going back a little bit of time ago, we return back to when Sir Emerald did die. By hands of magic and blah, blah, blah. And that arrow that instantly killed him. His body was brought over to the morgue, but no one, unless you guys decide to now, ever examined him. The guy you guys took, woman, you guys took from the sewers after paralyzing her, was brought into questioning. Did you guys ever go back to that topic? Or did he have like other people deal with the problem?
I'd assume Aster would have eventually. It was just there were a couple sessions
Hello.
before that that we might have gotten distracted by.
Just a couple.
I would have had the Inquisitor deal with that as well, actually.
Okay. Also, hi, Akios.
Hi.
Currently, they're playing through 100 days. So not surprising.
Yay, sounds like
But yeah, going back to the topic of that and having the Inquisitor do it, when they went to the area, he like quickly rushed over towards you guys, and he does state, King Aster, Madam Yoko, Sir Thane, Miss Alpani. I don't know if you have a title. We have discovered that the individual in hand is not in their cell and never arrived in their cell. We are currently having individuals scattered out to find this individual. We're not even sure how they escaped right now. We will look into it as quickly as possible. Having this information, do you guys like go in and look for this person? Like you saw a guard take them away after being bound.
Can we have Thane remember the appearance of the guard and see if the Inquisitor knows them?
Yeah. Again, I did a memory of a month, and that time frame was like 2 hours. Thane explains, and the guard does state, my liege, While I don't know everyone within the confines of the guards, I do know everyone that works in the castle, at the very least, especially those that are currently stationed here. There is a guard that looks like that, but they are not stationed here. They are stationed at the West Point entrance of the city. Their name is Mark Filbert. Nice enough young man. I can find him for you if you'd like, but he should not be here.
I see. Question him and see what he knows, if anything. Otherwise, continue the search.
Very well then. Eventually he does question him, comes back to you stating that no, Mark's been there the entire time. He's been greeting people that have been coming into the city here and there, people that have been coming out here and there. There are plenty of eyewitnesses that can testify to this. And his wife also can testify. Although that is, you know, you don't want to throw your husband in the bus. So he's been, like, under watch ever since that point in time. A guard does eventually find what appears to be scattered remains of a guard uniform. Coming in, they do state, sir, we did find this in a back alley. We're not exactly sure, but we do believe if an agent was here, they've stripped themselves of their former attire. So that's the thing. Luckily enough, I did have my gloves at the time, so if any of you can potentially scry on the individual, we could perhaps locate them. Otherwise, we need to call in a scryer, which might take some time.
I don't think any of us can, though the good father of the Church of Light has proven capable of doing such things.
You don't know that at this current point in time.
Oh, yeah, this is in the past. I know I can't scry. I don't know about anyone else.
Yeah, for the purposes of this, Thane can't.
Yeah, I can't either.
Okay. The guard then states, it will take some time, but hopefully we can find a scryer within a few weeks. Not everyone can do this skill. Otherwise,
I
it'd be
understand
weird.
it's quite specialized. Thank you.
Right, of course. Puts it into inventory. So that's currently looking into. And all of you do remember the guard. They seemed nice enough. They talked about, like, what's currently happening, what's going on. You told them what's currently happening, what's going on, and take this person to be questioned later. They nodded and moved away. And then two other guards came and then stated, what's happening, what's going on. And then you told them again. And at that point in time, it didn't quite click. But you would not have two separate groups look for something that has caused a problem. That doesn't make any sense, because you could potentially have two weak points rather than one. And that is a good chance of having someone disappear on you. And that's likely what happened. And I was genuinely surprised when you guys didn't figure that one out. So yeah, someone was able to break in and then hop out. Cutting back to this point in time, remembering on that, a guard does come in, and he does state, it's early in the morning, you guys are having breakfast, Fiala is there, so is the rest of the gang. He salutes and nods before everyone has to do their work. Asher has to go to his community service, / meditating time, and Yoko training with other people, and doing her own thing. The guard does state, sir, later tonight we will, in a few days, the scryer will be arriving into town.
Thank you. Make sure that they're greeted well.
Of course. Should I bring them to a residential area or to the castle keep itself?
The keep itself, we will want to maintain privacy.
Very well then. Trudges away. And Fiel does state, oh right, that was a thing. It's been several weeks. That being said though, if you guys have plans, let me know if there's anything I can do. Still no connections with Primordial, so thankfully enough, that's not a thing. But I will look into what or who constructed these dowels. If Father's excavation project was the thing that caused this, perhaps he has some books on the construction of these dowels. But other than that, it'll take some time. Good luck to you all. She goes to school. And going from, let's go with right to left this time. Yoko, what do you do with the next couple of days / weeks?
Well, I'd probably just keep up my training and going to the mage college to just keep up on my reading and learning, and hope that Fael eventually gets back to me with some work to do.
Yeah. While you're busy studying some of your magic to keep up with your skills, she does come into the library and she does state, oh, there you are. Luckily enough, I was able to find individuals wanting to learn and train. Well, look good for the family at least. I don't know their current skills. They are from the current established nobility, as well as one of them from former nobility. So someone that was stripped of their title and reintroduced once more after my brother brought them back into the fold. That being said, good luck with both of them. They are around the ages of 18 and 16. Both human. Hopefully I'm making
Okay.
that clear.
Yes. Just to clarify, what exactly is expected of me?
To train them in basic etiquette of a blade, as well as some fighting prowess. Nothing too
Okay.
grand. But I've already made arrangements for payment, as well as higher cost payment. She then hands you a bag of money. They will be here in about a few hours, and I've made sure to make arrangements for the training area to be open during this time for you and these two.
Okay. Thank you for your efforts.
Of course. Good luck. She begins to walk away, and she's more like, I don't know if I'm making myself clear. She seemed fine with it. Okay. Then she like walks away, talking to herself. Or maybe the egg, as she is looking down at the egg. But she walks away. A few hours later, after finishing up some of your books, well, not finishing, but continuing on, you do make it towards the training hall area, which is a wide open area that generally mage casters use to blast their new spells, or to train their wave spells, or to cast fireballs, because why not? They're not fighting, technically. There are two people there. Two of them human. The 16-year-old is a female noble with blonde hair, green eyes, and a bright smile that could fit into commercial. The 18-year-old is a rough-looking individual, but it doesn't feel like he's fighting a lot, or at the very least winning. He has like scrapes and bruises all over himself, and he is physically fit. It's just based off of his own muscle mass, you can tell he's not trained to fight. As you approach, this guy looks towards you. He stands at a whopping 5'8", which is definitely taller than Yoko, unfortunately. So he looks down at you, and as a nobleman, as former nobleman as well, he does state, "Oh, you the teacher? Really? You're like, what, 4 foot tall? You really think you're going to train me?" And the 16-year-old does state, "Come on. She's highly regarded. Fiel even spoke to us, spoke to our families about her." Yeah. You don't think this is political? You don't think it's the king doing this, oh, training the new nobles with, this? You can tell they're going to be a handful, especially the guy. The 16-year-old does state, "Come on." She extends her hands out towards Yoko. "The name's Vel. Pleasure to meet you. This uppity fellow is my good friend, Tulp." "Yeah, sure. Whatever. Nice to meet you, I guess." Right.
Nice to meet you as well.
Should we get started? If you can even swing a sword.
I see you think you're wasting your time here. If you can defeat me, I'll give you back your money, and you can be on your way.
He tries to dive bomb into you. Not even a fighting stance. It just looks like he's lunging his body towards you. Go ahead and roll the barest potential minimum of a dexterity saving throw. As he just tries to use his body mass and weight to pin you down. No, it's not even happening. You don't even move. He moves himself towards you, and your main body doesn't move. You use your tails to sweep his legs and cause a curve in his arc to just hit the ground right next to you. Unless you're fully paying attention and have the high accuracy of Alpani or Yoko, you wouldn't even notice what happened. The man just hits the ground, and I don't think you'd step on him, because that wouldn't be elegant or reasonable in this state. It's just a youth being uppity. You just look down on him, and he goes, "Best 2 out of 3?
If you insist."
You whoop him down again. He's just trying to save face. And with a natural 20, I'm going to say you beat him again. He's strong, but, strength is only used so well without any training. And the other person is just annoying. Very high energetic being, but, willing to learn instead of being rude. Yoko, go ahead and roll for me athletics to see how well you train these two. Or the course of days and time. Even though those are the exact same monikers.
Can I use a luck point to try that again?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I'm assuming you're taking the 10?
Yeah.
You train them to a degree that they have their footing down. They have general bladesmanship work, making sure that they clean their blades rather than just hilting it and then forgetting about it until the next time you train with it. Because, that causes rust or chipping or general things getting clogged up in the sheath. I don't know if that last one's true, but I feel like it's true. You train them to the degree that you were told, but not any further. So if they want to pursue, this type of thing, they could, not on their own. They would have to spend more time with you or with another teacher. Do you at any point state, because you are well aware of this, if you want any more tutelage, come find me again. Because you're more than welcome to do that, but you'd have to interact with two very, in their own ways, annoying people.
Yeah, I invite them to come back some more.
Okay. Let's see if the guy rolls a wisdom save well. Nope, fails. And the girl's honestly just upbeat for anything. The guy not trying to save face anymore just states, yeah, alright. Whatever. I'm pretty sure I have everything I need against you, so if I lose a fight next time, I might be back. He comes back like a couple days later. The girl is like, yeah, if you want. No, that's simply me if I want. I'll have to speak with my family about this, but yeah, I'm more than welcome to. Oh, if you want though, it is my birthday in about a month, so you're more than welcome to be invited. You can bring as many guests as you want. It's an entire thing. It's gonna be at, and then she goes on to a topic that doesn't involve swords.
Well, she'd probably tune out at that point then.
Yeah. But they do return in some time, but more on that later. Yoko, you did make, out of this entire ordeal, a total of 400 gold. Fiel rep these two families off, technically. Like, you are worth that amount, but she definitely raised the margin of MSR.
Well, it's a good thing I had her do the talking instead of myself.
She's very good at it. Maybe Aster can beat her one day. Or today. I don't know. I generally want to see if they get into an argument match. To see who persuades who first. More on that maybe later. Aster, what do you do for the next coming time? As Yoko trains with swordsmen.
Between my work, reading the book, and practicing the blade skill, I'd like to try to get to better know my sister and the council members. So just sort of organizing small events so that we might talk and share information about one another so that we can build some sort of trust and reputation.
Yeah. That is for sure possible. Like, you finish your work early in the... Not early in the morning, but you start it early enough that you can finish it within the afternoon. Around 2, and then start on some councilman work. You are for sure able to do that. So when you meet them again, you generally try to get a good vibe on most of them, if not all of them. Yeah, for sure Sprite can be there during that training. Probably Vel would have, like, drawn herself towards her and asked her many, many questions. More on that later. The entire council is there while at work, and when you bring in, like, more communal speaking and communication of personal matter rather than political, some people are less hesitant, some are not. Carl, Colette, Dean, and your sister are fine with personal communication, but the rest, it takes time. You make some group activities to do that do involve after work things, so do you make it mandatory or do you make it voluntary? Voluntary, thank you. Eventually, more than just the main group that I mentioned beforehand do show up. You potentially do what is essentially the medieval version of trust exercises, trap rooms, and whatever other group activities in businesses people do. My business doesn't do any of this. I'm just aware that these are things people do. you know that eventually you do come to understand these people quite well, or at least well enough to realize you didn't understand them at all in the beginning, other than being political. Rook themselves comes from noble bearing and stride, but no longer holds title, and after the placement of nobility within the area, he is still not a noble. But he more or less doesn't care as long as the job gets done. Lon themselves is a halfling that had come into recent power in the area due to the nobility at the time your father was running things, was there. He was like the third cousin of the former councilman. However, you know, once that was stripped away, the best he could do was voted seat, which, you know, better than most. He's glad for it, but didn't expect anything more. Cole themselves is a highly non-criticized individual, but he generally deals with the people and concerns within his own community. His main community deals with mining operations and things of that note, so he makes sure that he listens to the people that go underground to potentially risk their lives for the people above ground, making sure that everything is settled as smoothly as possible, trying to make sure that peace within both business and personal are as smooth as possible. Harvey deals with a good amount of structured military forces, worried about the current border dispute between this kingdom and the kingdom of Dust and Iskara, as there are currently some bordering disputes on land and sea. But above all, he's like not wanting to have fighting happen, but wanting to see his work in action. Colette doesn't really change her demeanor in any way, shape, or form. She's still very flirtatious, very not cool with personal space. You more or less understand her to a degree. Maybe this is all an act, and she's just trying to woo you. Hard to tell. Like, genuinely hard to tell. Carl's there. He likes collecting postcards. He shows you his collection. He has about 2 from every main city.
I imagine Carl lives in like a blank room in a house, and then there's just like a single chair and a wall of postcards. And all he does when he gets off work is sit in the chair and look at postcards and like eat saltines.
You're generally close on what I have for Carl's.
He just seems like a fairly boring person.
I'll tell you what his day-to-day is. When he goes home, he does have a stack of postcards on his desk that is right by the doorway, but not quite there. There is a frame bed in the area he currently lives in. He lives in a 2-bedroom apartment within the city wall. 2-bed, 1 bath. But he doesn't live with anyone else other than his cat, which is a nice brown orangey cat. He feeds it as soon as he gets home, comes over, looks at his collection. If he had a new addition to it, he puts it there. Otherwise, he like sits down by the desk, takes out a cup of coffee, and just looks at the newspaper. Air quotes, newspaper. Is not like probably a proper newspaper. It's just like a whole bunch of things, leaflets that are scattered throughout the city on news information. From time to time, he does like look at the postcards and begins to replicate / draw them on like new pieces of paper, and then like eventually goes to sleep and then begins his day back up again. He has other things to do, but it's not exciting. Nice enough guy, though. He is not... he's not magical.
When I get a good enough rapport with everyone in the privacy of the council hall, I'll reveal to them my condition and why I wear a mask.
Yeah. You already know Solsdale, you already know Deansdale, and your sister's your sister. She doesn't tell you anything you don't already know. And, you know, it's kind of hard to commune with someone that hasn't been there for a while. I'm not talking currently, I'm talking like in nearly entire life. You speak with the council members about the current situation at hand. And some of them nod, others of them look quizzical at you. They begin to ask a few things here and there, and you explain likely current condition. And Sol does state, is it bad enough that we can't see it?
If you would like to, I will remove it, though it is not for the faint.
Rook would state, it would be potentially a valuable thing to know what the current king looks like. Those that are squeamish probably shouldn't look, based off of your statement, but it likely would house a benefit rather than anything else.
Very well. This is the 10-second warning. And I'll start undoing my bandages and preparing to lift the mask off.
And Carl looks away. I don't think anyone else would be squeamish enough to look away.
Well, Dean doesn't have eyes.
Or isn't squeamish enough. You don't know if he has eyes. He has a wrapping over them.
Dean
Never
just
removed
staring
it.
at the wall this whole time.
He's never had an issue moving.
I know. I'm just teasing.
I know. You unbandaged to a degree. You don't, strip naked. Unless you do.
Behold your king.
Now, you remove some bandages from your arm and, remove the mask. Now, to a degree where you are showing the gnarled up face or the gnarled up face in that, perfect pearlized face.
Yeah, I'll straight up remove the mask.
Okay. You show the current condition, and the next possible person that could be squeamish enough is Lon. I'm going to have him roll con save. 13 plus modifier. No, too high. Unfortunate. I wanted someone to throw up. They are more or less weather it. Lon takes a big gulp, as if potentially worried or afraid. Dean does state, thank you. You may put your bandages on if you'd like once more, and Carl, you can turn back now if you prefer. Right, thanks. Dean does state, is there a reason your face is non-symmetrical? And Soul does state, and feels like I feel nothing when I look at one side specifically.
In order to get to this position so that I might help everyone, I made a deal with the goddess of luck. This was her strange payment. It was half of my scars.
Confusing. I have no words for that. I want to see if any of the individuals within the group understand what this implies. I am rolling low. Yeah. Maybe one does, maybe one doesn't, but they don't say it outright. Your sister, however, does state, thank you for letting us know this circumstance. That being said, though, hopefully you understand the council members a little bit better. And hopefully, in turn, we understand you a little bit better in turn. Right. Well then, she like claps her hands, and two servants come over while you guys are eating, with like a big drawn tray of desserts. Desserts, anyone? Lon like looks at them. I think I'm good. Dean then makes a joke. More room for us. No one laughs. No one understood the joke. And you guys begin to have a nice dinner/dessert time.
So I know that this is usually where we take our 15-minute break, but I think I might have to call it. I took some Tylenol and some Benadryl, and I'm starting to get pretty
No
tired.
problem. Get your rest.
Yeah, sorry.
It's good.
Bye, everyone.
Have a
Akios,
good
it was
one.
good to see you stop by.
Bye.
Bye.
Yoko, if you need to go as well, we are gonna play Alpani's time. Otherwise, you can dip out now if you want.
Yeah, I think I'll call it here and go get something to eat.
Oh,
Since I
okay.
forgot to earlier.
Don't be like me. Eat your food.
Yeah.
All right. Fill your stomach up. See you next time.
Yep. See you later.
Okay. Probably gonna get rid of most of the council members that are here. I know you currently can't roll, so don't worry about that part. I should probably put something in Roll20 that's a bot that can make you roll. Not make you roll, but you could probably roll.
I know there's a bot you can get that will do like rolls in Discord, but I can't remember what it is.
Yeah,
I'd
I'll
have to look into it again.
I'll look it up later. Don't worry about it. But what you basically missed was killing Emerald, which is way, way back ago. I believe that was the last session we had before Hectic January. Your team then had time to do their own things. Asher basically got placed under house arrest. Can't really go outside of the city for 100 days and has to help out with repairs and things within the city. He found some dowling magical rods within the walls and the ground of construction areas. He was currently trying to relocate them, but first attune to them, because he didn't want to break them and he wasn't sure what moving them would do. Attuning to them, he did discover that there's a magical effect that was plaguing the city as well as various other places in the kingdom. He then gave it a new instruction, and then that caused a giant magical wave to go across the city walls and then into the kingdom itself. There are no current exact reports to see how far it went, but it went pretty far. Yoko is helping train swordsmen and women within the walls and generally learning magic. Thane keeps not getting kicked out of school after breaking a few windows, harassing some of the teachers, and then reading a good book that was magical that bumped up his stats. Fiel, Aster's sister, accidentally or purposefully summoned a egg that no one currently is aware of what it is. She sighed deeply and was sad that she failed her class, because she was trying to summon familiar, and an egg isn't a familiar. Even though it was cool that it happened, it wasn't the assignment, so she failed.
Good job.
Yeah.
Also, if I start sounding robot-y, I'm moving outside, so I gotta get outside where I have signal.
Yeah, no problem. Other than that, I think you were here when, they lost sight of the prisoner you guys took. The diviner will be there in some time. And rumors are being spread of the current kingdom and potential leadership. Aster might be involved in those types of rumors, and Fiao is currently looking into them. And I think those are the main points that have been made.
Okay.
So what are you doing?
Well, Alpani would be helping out in the city with the, neighborhood watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing the quotation marks that you can't see.
Yeah.
But she would help out with that a little bit, and she.
And she what?
Sorry.
It's all good.
Sorry, I lost signal for a second.
It's all good. The last thing you said, and she.
Well, she would also be looking into making a little journey back home to take the elven man to get him cured of the necrotic energy.
Yeah. Going over to help with the Golden Ring group, you are able to do that. Speaking with Cole, he does state, we do need a few people helping out here and there. We'd be more than happy to have you there. You begin to help out the general community here and there, and I don't think anyone actually did in this group.
What?
Nothing. I'm just considering things that are happening. You begin to help out the populace personally. Go ahead.
Yeah. She would go to the local farms and use the plant growth, the 8-hour casting, to help keep the land fertile. So their crop, when it's time for harvest, they're getting more, at least for the year, to help the city with the food resources.
Yeah. You begin to help out people generally in the city as well as outside in the farming areas. They are genuinely grateful. Without so many hands, it is genuinely a godsend. You intermingle with the general people, not people of high society or of magical society or of those heavily involved with blades. You help out everyone that you can. You help out with the farming. You help out with the general chores in the city. You get interpersonal with personal people rather than politicians, noblemen with a sword, or a guy that can cast fireball and are going to a school. The farmers are happy to see you.
I mean, if anyone wants to get personal with a bladed weapon, here we go. I'm losing signal again. There we go.
I'm back.
Can you hear me? Okay. Sorry. I gotta quit wandering around. I gotta stay in one spot. But no, if anyone, decided, oh my god, I hate living here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Just didn't know how to respond to that.
Which, quick FYI, as far as we know, we're moving in August.
Okay.
And I'll be back on normal. I'll be on internet.
Okay.
Instead of just my phone. But no, honestly, my response to the whole thing, my joke was that, if anyone went to get personal with Alpani with a blade, we all know she's packing.
Very true.
She's packing a lot of fucking power.
Yeah.
I mean, she can just turn into a bear and probably eat one of the nobles before they could react.
Yeah, possible. Like, the nobles aren't hunting you down, but some of the nobles have been put back into positions of power. So you always got to keep an eye on potential risk factors. Not everyone that was voted in is a good person. It just means
Yeah,
the general requirement is reading.
and I think she would spend time each day using her Summon Fae
Yeah.
spell and having a little hummingbird zipping around, like kind of doing some espionage work. Especially if there's any that either Alpani or from just listening to the council, there's questioning about loyalty, just to see if she can glean any information on that while she's working within the kingdom.
Yeah, for sure. As you're speaking with some of the farmers in the area, they are again grateful. Some of the kids also come by. Both boys and girls and others begin to like draw towards you because you're quite literally the most magical person they've ever seen. They're straight up drawn into that. I'm gonna have your bird roll a perception check. No, this is probably an investigation. Let's see which one's higher for you. Perception it is. Yeah. While you're speaking with some little kids, a girl like wondering how you get your hair like that and how the horns don't cause it to get wild. Your hummingbird friend comes by and like looks at the kids and like talks to them. Scram, kid. And then like they immediately get drawn towards it because talking animal. Eventually, their family scoots them away. And your familiar does state, trouble with kids, sticky hands. Anyways, boss, with the whole looking in and snooping kind of things, didn't really find anything with the council. Just like a few things that were odd. The redhead, white clothing, I think her name is Collet, talking with like a whole bunch of men, like sometimes in groups, and like goes into places with alcohol called taverns. I don't know what.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, couldn't really get in there without being spotted, so that's a thing. Some people from outside the city, some people from inside the city. Don't really know who they are though. I was literally forged from magic from the Feywild. I don't know anyone personally. The Dean guy, sometimes his shadow like takes shape and form and like I think talks with him. I just don't know the language. It's like very gargled and he attempts to imitate the language. And do you know deep speech? I should probably look at your character sheet because you probably can't. Or you may not remember.
I don't think I can.
Nope. Common, Sylvan, and Elvish. So you're not fully aware of it. It felt like images were being thrown into my head. But thankfully enough, they didn't notice me. I don't know what that's all about. They only rolled a 14, so eventually they did get caught. Unfortunately, though, I couldn't find anyone else other than this guy that felt the weirdest of them all out of the entire group. I think his name is Carlisle. He went into an apartment building and started to feed cats for some reason. information.
Right.
And the only reason Carl discovered them is because he was closing curtains for some reason. I'm just going to play this out, right? Your hummingbird heads over towards Carl's apartment. He notices that he brings a tray over towards his neighbor's house. The tray is currently covered, so he's not sure what it is, but it is metallic in origin, and the cover itself also seems to be metallic. Going over towards the neighbor's house, Carl does greet his neighbor, stating, Matilda, it's been quite some time. I did bring a savory treat. Oh, glad you're here. Please, do come in. At that point in time, he couldn't hear the conversation they were having. Carl went over towards the window, which is close enough that he could hear. Noticing your hummingbird, he waves towards it, and the hummingbird begins to fly into a tree to evade the gaze. He then closes the curtains, and he does state, so why do you need the curtains closed? As he walks further away from the wall, no longer visible or heard.
Oh.
It's probably easy to tell what's going on.
Carl's sweet on someone.
If you had to guess, he was trying to hit on this woman, and the woman made the first move. Maybe. You don't know, technically.
I mean, technically, he brought the treat over, so he could have brought more than one treat.
That is true.
That was such a horribly perverted joke.
Yeah. At any rate, you begin to create these monstrosities that is good food. One of the guards that is currently keeping watch of the food does come over. He knows what you're doing. It's not like he's not aware. By the end of it, he does state, thanks again, Miss Alpani, was it?
Yes, it's no problem.
Right. Well, unfortunately, I only have so much money for helpful construction projects. So if 80 gold would be fortuitous for you, the time of harvest again will come. So think about, doing this again.
Why don't you take the gold and put it towards hiring people to help with the harvest?
He looks towards you. That's kind of what I'm doing right now. There's not a lot of people that have magic that want to help out farmers.
I don't need the gold. I'm saying use it to hire the hands at harvest time.
Okay.
Because I'm sure they're going to need the help.
Okay. I've tried having other magicians and casters help out with farming. They're all like, farming? Why bother? Or really? That is so beneath my skill set. He's doing voices for these people. You have no idea who he's mimicking. Things like that. They say, I don't know. Thank you, though, personally. I come from people that raise up livestock, so people don't understand how essential farming is. And with the magic, we can clearly do more.
Perhaps I can talk to someone and get help out here.
Be appreciated.
Look into it, but yes, I would definitely make sure to save what gold is available to possibly pay for that help.
Oh, well, I don't want to impose, but anything would help, honestly. You yourself are a treat to both the community as well as the people around. And, Pawnee, I'm going to roll insight for you.
Okay.
Insight check.
Oh, awful.
No! I wanted it to be awful.
My insights, no matter what character I play, are awful. Even if I play a character that I take insight on.
Yeah.
That is one of the rules I cannot do.
I just screen captured it and put it in Discord. You don't have to see it, but you got a 20. When he said that, he's clearly hitting on you, but in a roundabout way, immediately diverting it towards, you're a treat to the community and everyone around us.
So in other words, he's embarrassing himself.
Yeah, he's not trying to. But he does state. But it is quite helpful. So I will make sure that plenty of hands are here at harvest time, which is in about 4 months. So if you do have the time, it would be lovely to see you again. I'm sure the rest of the community thinks so as well.
I will be around at some point, but I must leave the kingdom for a little bit. But know that the magic I casted will last a full year before it would have to be recasted again. So as long as the farmlands are taken care of properly, they will produce quite a haul for the next year as well.
You can tell on his face the look of disappointment. It doesn't take an insight roll to see why. When you mentioned I had to be away for a while, he does look sad, and then when you state, but the magical effect will last for a year, and he looks upset. Not because, this is happening, but more because she has no other reason
She's
to come over here. Yeah.
Which, little does he know, this is more her style area than being in the city.
Yeah.
She only hangs out in the city because she's helping other people.
Uh-huh. But he does state, splendid. Yes, splendid. A shame you'll be outside of the city for some time, but we do hope to welcome you back. It doesn't have to be for work. After all, you can, spend your time here in the wild, in the foresty grass. I'm sure the kids and I and the rest of the city would be happy to see your smiling face again.
Okay, so I'm playing this character differently than I normally play my characters. So upon I kind of think for a moment, what is your post?
Oh,
where are you posted mainly?
He points over towards the left of him, which is a street area where carts could go into the grounds and bring fertilizer seeds or bring in the harvest into town. I am one of the highway guards to keep the flow of food carts both in and out of the city. It's not the most glamorous work, but I get to meet the people, speak with them, and see the new pretty faces in town.
Wow. How would you fancy an adventure to a land you probably never would see?
I'm gonna have him roll insight with disadvantage. He got an 11 and a natural 20.
Oh,
But he had
that always seems
disadvantage.
to happen for you. Every time you give yourself disadvantage, you roll a nat 20.
Oh,
It feels like it.
I can see that. The man not fully understanding, but is into you. He is smitten. New faces, new person in town, doesn't realize that my post and position is just security, but nothing really happens here. So not the most glamorous job. It's I have an inn right now. I am not messing this up. And then going back to real time, I can probably take a few weeks off. I do have some accumulated holiday leave. Yes, an adventure would be lovely.
Well, obviously, you can see by my looks, I'm not of the, shall we say, mortal realm. I plan to help a gentleman that has suffered undue consequences get his life back. But to do that, I have to travel to the Feywild, where my family is, where we have healers that can undo what plagues him.
Oh, I see.
And also, there are a lot of pretty elven women and fauns. And it's just chaotic there, but it's fun. And it would help bolster you as a warrior.
Well, true beauty is beyond just the general scope of the body. It's also the mind. But understandable.
So as he's saying that, Alpani's just gonna act like she's stretching, which you know how her outfit is.
Yeah.
Literally like the picture. So, she puts her hands behind her back and stretches, arching the front of her body.
The man does stare. He thinks he's being subtle, but you have a high enough past perception. You've easily noticed.
Oh yeah.
Like, he
Well,
genuinely believes what he's saying. It's just
yeah.
throughout the time, he noticed that
It's
you're very pretty.
more her-
But after that, he realized that you were considerate, kind towards people you've never met before, and just generally doing a good thing. So, like, super into you.
Yeah.
Not just your looks, but yes, also your looks.
But no, it was more of her teasing. I mean, she is fake.
Yeah.
She likes to play little tricks.
Like,
But
you stun lock this man and just stop talking for a bit.
well, we will discuss it, but I will also put in a word for you to be able to accompany me as a guard, because a trip to the Feywilds isn't one to be undertaken lightly, even by someone from there. So, by the time we get close enough, my family will probably be aware that I'm on my way home, and they'll send someone out to meet me.
Right. Genuinely would love to come, and generally would also love to help out your friend that needs help. I became a guard to help out the people.
Very well. I will also talk to the council about getting more hands out here to help when it's time for harvest. Because if you're not aware, I am friends with some of the council and the king, and this is something that would benefit the kingdom. I'm pretty sure they could put it on.
You look towards this man when you say all that, saying all good things, but you read off of his face when you say, I am associated with the council and friends with the king's. Like, oh, did I accidentally hit on the king's friend? Is this gonna end well for me?
I guess at the same time, she would probably notice that easily, because just the facial features changing, like the expression, she would kind of backtrack and be like, well, it's more that I've known the king for a little bit. I wouldn't per se complete friends. I'm more of an acquaintance that has allied themselves with him. So, but I feel that they would be interested in hearing this conversation. Either way, my allegiance could be permanent, it could be temporary. It depends on how I see. And I don't always agree with the king and his, how do we say, judgment on certain things.
I have heard unsavory rumors as of late, but rumors all the same. After all, we don't generally know.
Rumors do have some hints of truth to them, but I understand why the king has made decisions and taken the actions he has. I don't agree with it all the time, but I understand them.
Understandable. After all, new way of doing things, new government, and I personally don't fully understand these things or agree to everything, but, sometimes we give people the benefit of the doubt, and eventually that gracing period should end.
Yes, but for now I must venture back. I need to talk with people to get everything situated before our little trip, shall we call it, our adventure, and make sure everything is properly prepared. So I would suggest preparing.
Of course. He like extends his hand out because he's never presented his name. Although you did mention you were from the Feywild, I'm still gonna risk it. Rick, by the way. Richard.
And I am Alpani. She would do the customary human, take his hand and do the little curtsy. So anyone could tell she is not someone that does this. So she is very mechanical about it.
Yeah, like he's still flustered by this because, elegant beauty of the Feywild and a random guard that shot his shot and succeeded? Kind of. We'll figure that one out later. At the very least, you're talking, and that's all he was going for.
And hey, most of Alpani is very like-minded with her. So, who knows? She might be able to set him up with like a cousin or something. Because they are not, racist in the aspect of how elves are.
Yeah.
Against being with other races. I mean, obviously, look at Alpani.
Yeah, I get that. Like, I get that. But yeah, you trudge along as he goes back to his post, which is honestly just a fail-safe. Like, if someone comes in and like puts a torch to things, it's like, hey, stop that. It's basically his job. Very boring work,
Right.
but genuinely needed. And he's fine with it.
Yeah, especially kingdom-wise. That's why where my train of thought is. A kingdom, especially one as massive as this one, it needs food. How do you get food? Farmlands. Hey, look what Alpani can do.
Yeah. Unfortunately, a lot of mages are like, do I want to go on a magical adventure or study the magics of old or work on a farm? Nope.
Oh, dude.
I understand
She would have
Alpani's train of
fun.
thought.
Alpani would be kicked out of the college the first 5 minutes being there. I can guarantee you. That's why she hasn't even attempted to go over and look at what they're doing.
I will tell you the only reason Thane hasn't gotten kicked out is because he got a slip from Aster stating, hey, this guy can study here. And there's like no way any teacher would try to kick out someone that the king, air quotes, placed here. Because like,
right.
Who's going to report this? I don't want to be fired potentially or be killed. Only saving grace.
I'm just saying, because, if you look at the magic, they're coming from learning it, from books where Alpani is like a primal force is where her magic comes from.
Yeah.
Her magic comes from druidic magic and divine magic, which also classified under druidic because of her patron.
Yeah, for sure.
So she's just like complete opposite of everyone in that school, and it would just, I feel like that's the whole oil and water thing does not mix.
Fair enough. But you come over.
Why,
Go ahead.
Yeah, Alpani still has the white crow, right?
Yeah, you've been feeding it, making sure it doesn't die.
Yeah, because she plans on taking that to the wild. Because even though a creature, and she can't always be looking after it, so she'll probably let it go in the Feywild. Because I know certain religions do look on crows as blessings.
Yes.
And who knows? Someone there might be following. Which goddess is that?
I believe the goddess of death, the Raven Queen? I'm assuming that's who you're talking about?
Yeah, the Raven Queen. Yeah. well, it's her symbol, so there's probably someone in the Feywild that, whether it be in her family or just another being, that would appreciate seeing it there.
It's possible.
Until it gets eaten by something the
Yeah,
very
I was about
first
to
minute she
say.
lets it out.
To be fair, though, material plane creature into the Feywild. Don't know how long that'll last. I'll roll a luck check just in case, but there's a chance. I'm gonna say below
if
10,
anything,
it will probably get eaten.
She might let her. Well, if anything, she might just let her family take care of it.
That's fair.
But yeah, so
good.
she would go back to the city to meet with the town watch, city watch. I don't know what you want to call them anymore.
The gold ring.
Or what we decided on the name was, the gold ring. She would actually approach them about the harvest and explain to the dwarf that actually kind of got her to join about what she has done for the farm lands, and also explain that she's going to bring it up to the council and the king so they can hopefully get more help out there as well, because they're going to have an abundance of crops. So
Cole
it'll
does
also be
state...
another...
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. Speaking with Cole, who is the leader of the 10 Rings, and Faraday is also there, you explain to him that in a couple of days you're going to bring him to the Feywild to restore your body. And then you explain to Cole the current circumstances. He does state, honestly, fair. We've needed someone to do this. We aren't in desperate need, but we always want to make sure we have a surplus that can go beyond points in times when we have a... blanking on the word, both as DM and player, NPC, drought. So any surplus would be beneficial. It's just we don't generally have druids within the city, and any wizard that graduates any of the colleges we have generally don't want to go to work on a farm. So having some position placed there, if you do speak with the king and council, that would probably be the most beneficial.
Understood. I'm also going to speak to them about maybe opening up a school for druids out in the farmlands or something where they could, because I'm not sure how people attain enrollment at this college, but it doesn't seem particularly tasteful to me.
From what I understand it, you require a letter of formality to enter inside. Someone has to be aware of a magical skill and then give you a letter.
So, in other words, a child born to one of the farmers may have latent magical abilities that have yet to awaken, but no one would know.
That is possible.
Or someone with the druidic magic potential, and they would still not know.
Also possible. These scouts are sent towards people that already have a visible connection to the spectrum. No one usually can afford to see if their child is born magically gifted, stronger in the weave than others, and very heavy expense on them. So many people don't do it. It's possible.
Very distasteful, as I said. I will also be looking into this as well, because the mortal realm is shabby at best. For every area that there's a village or collective people, there's at least 10 druids in the Feywild, and I'm getting yelled for, so
No problem. You explain the current 7 seconds of the Feywild and the Druid Collective, of where cities would be in conjunction, or parallel technically, to the Feywild. With that in mind, Cole does state, honestly, I can see that happening. That being the case, though, many of our druids don't like to live in cities or close to general populaces. They live in forests, mountain ranges, and things of that nature, where their skills are required, but since there's not much humanoid life there, they generally don't even do much there to begin with, sadly, other than drive out any foreign forces.
Perhaps we can work on an idea for that, because there are woodlands around here where a druid could reside, or even, shall we say, a school where they could learn and then be employed to come to the farmlands once a year.
That is possible. We just need to make sure that we can find, you know what? I can try to see if some of my people can find druids that are, at the very least, able to be spoken with, that are willing to hear you out. If you don't mind being the mouthpiece to this initiative.
Yes, I will also speak to my father's side of our family. They are classified as fawns from the Feywild, but I know some of them are probably itching to get out and see the human world. At the very least, they could come and help and start, and some of them may stay. As I will be taking this trip to the Feywild anyway to see my family. And I'll bring it up at the council. I'll actually do that today before they're out of session.
Every little bit helps. I can definitely offer up some of my own funding to help establish a fund for a potential new employee or construction within the forest for a conclave.
Preferably, let us not use buildings like these. Druids are based around nature.
I don't mean construction of metal and concrete. Just general terminology. My apologies.
Well, to truly be able to tap into the druidic arts, they would use the land itself for what they need. But we'll get to that point later. For now, that would be greatly appreciated, because it would bolster this kingdom as well. Because if, per se, a season of drought hits, there's no water, or very limited, a druid themselves can produce a massive amount of water from one drop. So that's where I'm trying to go with all this. They are needed. I don't know why these human cities have kind of cast out the druids and their abilities.
It's not so much that they cast them out, it's so much that the druids don't want any part of general society. I fully don't understand it myself.
Like I said, I will speak to the council, and I will speak to my family as well. The fawns, there are ones that have the magic, and others that are just generally good at fighting. They can protect people, so. But I will get that started, and I will be the one to take initiative on this.
Very well then. You do definitely have my vote. Faraday was there for the entire thing. The guy you're helping get his body back to undeath. He more or less agrees to go to the Feywild because he has no idea what's going on. He generally was just helping out the community as well, dealing with things he can do that doesn't involve going out too often. But at night he does, go out. He's very young. Why wouldn't he? So he generally does sewing work here and there and things you can do within a home. You go off and speak with the council about the situation at hand, and you honestly were speaking with Cole. So you go and persuade them, and with the points you've made, like, why on earth would I give you advantage? So with advantage, you roll persuasion, and you got a natural 1 and a 22.
Oh. Thank goodness.
Most of the council is convinced, but the last bit of money, or at least the last bit, Asher will have to implement himself, since he has to sign, print, seal a new position and potentially deal with land negotiation for the druids. So like no potential construction or like resource being plucked there, so that community potentially could be self-sustaining if it so desires. But that has to be Aster's decision, air quotes.
Right.
But a druid and everyone else within the council is definitely up for it.
And also, Alpani would mention about Richard joining her on her adventure to the Feywild, as she would place it as the extra help to protect the person they're transporting there.
Yeah. With the 22, people do nod. It does make sense. Like, why wouldn't it make sense? Let's see. Who is currently positioned? That'd be Harvey. Harvey does state, all right then. Richard can more than accompany you, I guess. He's like one soldier between a whole bunch of them. I can have someone fill in for him if need be. How long do you think it's going to take? Like a day, a week?
You're funny. You think it takes just a week to get to the Feywild?
I don't know the concept.
And interpret it. It'll take, well, a dogma, DM. How long would you say it would take for this trip?
Are you trying to plane shift in or look for a gate to go in?
Well, technically she could use sending to speak to her family, since her grandmother is someone that deals with gates.
Yeah, but your grandma's currently in the material plane, helping out that one city.
So technically they could travel to that city and have her grandma send them.
It'd take roughly a week to get there, and then an hour's chance to like bamf you, Faraday, and Richard to the Feywild. So 3 weeks, just in case, but expectedly 2.
Yeah, so go with that. So she would explain that.
Okay, if you had said a gate, I would have said you travel to a gate so you know its location.
Well, that's the one thing I did not put into Alpani. She does not know about gates. Like, she knows about them, but she cannot actually perceive them.
Yeah. Some are hard to find.
That was Grandma's ability, not hers.
That's fair. You explain to them it's going to take, worst case scenario, 3 weeks. Harvey does state, all right, he like goes through the paperwork and does state, never took a sick day in his life. Yeah, technically he does have the days. All right, effectively he can technically be gone for an entire month. So, take your time. He's not getting paid for these days off, by the way. This is just his holiday leave he never took.
Yeah, well, I mean...
He's not getting paid for this, but he's going to get paid for escorting you. So I guess don't take your time.
Also, Technically, yeah. Because technically speaking, he shouldn't get paid for the week. Well, he should get paid for the week, which is the escort to meet up with Grandma, but then, what, a week off on holiday, and then the next week back, if you do 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So we'll do that way. I'm sorry, I'm very focused on people taking proper time off. It comes from my personal job, so
I know, I understand. This is more Harvey being weird about things. He nods and goes, yeah, okay, that'll work. Like his payment is 1 gold a week. You could give him the pocket money for that.
true.
That being the
Which
case, though.
she probably would. She would give him.
Yeah, that's fair.
But
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Talked about the druids. Mentioned she talk to the council about harvest time, trying to help get more people in.
Yeah. With your 22, let's continue with that persuasion. You speak with them, and Dean does state, to be perfectly honest, you've already done the work, and according to you, it's going to last for an entire year. We definitely do need more people, so we're going to get onto that. Like, effectively, you've bent our hand back already. Thank you for letting us know, though. This isn't in any means being cursed or anything. It's just we have to do it regardless.
Well, it's also the factor resources we can get, and food is a very much needed resource.
Quite true. Let's see here. Harvest time isn't until another 4 months, so we have plenty of time to get more hands on the field. Very well then. I'll make sure to have farming and hopefully look into druids that are willing to help out as soon as we can.
Well, don't forget, this kind of hits both topics. The druidic school and the farming. They go hand in hand. Druids would be probably willing to help with the harvest.
Dean does nod, like, you don't have to continue trying to persuade me. I was already convinced enough.
Oh no. She's like very adamant about this because she is... Okay, so in my mind, for Alpani, she is actually upset with how they ran the city. She is trying to do her bit to help it.
Yeah.
Even if it's only focusing on the druidic stuff and the farming. So she's, in all technical purposes, she's kind of pissed off about how it's been handled.
That's fair. Like, they do have wizards to, fortify the city, protect the walls, protect the people, but unfortunately, farming and agriculture has been dismissed. They sometimes help out when there's less water, but or less food, or if something was poisoned. Right.
So, but yeah, that's just where I'm going with her because, as I told you, her personality, I'm basing it off of, she is a lot like the factor of nature. She's not technically good or evil. She just is, and yeah, them dismissing it has pissed her off.
Yeah, like you can tell. You don't have to heavily convince a lot of people within the council. Carl was immediately up for it. Dean was up for it. Saul was up for it, and Fiel was up for it. Cole would also be up for it, but not as many hands were essentially for it. And with the former king, gardening, farming, agriculture was probably the last thing on his mind.
Yeah,
Unfortunately.
psychopath. But now, she would also explain that she would be talking to the fawns from her home about coming to assist with the druids, and they would probably still be here around harvest time, that they could also help.
We'll
So,
be glad to have the help.
she's got like this. I just gave Alpani this giant fucking list of things she has to get done now. I just realized it. Holy shit. Well, we were looking for plot hooks for her, so here we go.
Fair
But
enough.
she was the one character. She was one character that didn't really have anything tying her to this city or the story, as we talked about. So,
Yeah.
hey, we got stuff. But, so yeah, with that, she would probably go prepare everything for their journey, because she would want to set out as soon as possible. So she would go and speak to Aster, Yoko, and Thane. And Mrs. Thane, whoever his wife is, I can't remember.
Mrs. Thane does greet you. Hey, how's it going? And then goes back into the shadows. You discuss these things. They more or less understand. Aster can't even go anywhere currently. Under air quotes, house arrest. He is the king. No one's gonna say that he's currently facing a sentence.
Right. But he's got to focus on the city,
yeah.
on his kingdom.
Thane's doing his own thing, potentially going out to murder someone. More on that maybe next week. And Yoko found a new people that are into swords, so nah, she's not gonna get rid of that one.
Yeah, that poor guy's gonna get his ass handed to him multiple times by Yoko. I'm sorry to say it that way, but I feel bad for him. He bit off way more than he can chew.
Yeah, he was just an arrogant guy that used his size to intimidate people. He doesn't understand how to fight.
I would just love to see him go against Alpani once.
Oh, he'd get decked out in an instant.
Oh, he might get to tackle her, but then he would find out that he tackled a female that turned into a bear. Because that's just her go-to. So that would be terrifying.
Yeah, that's true. But, that's
yeah. Moving on. But yeah, so talk with friends and then go prepare everything for the trip to the Feywild.
Yeah. Packing your gear, getting in contact with Faraday to get ready for travel, getting in contact with Richard, he was already notified that he has the time off now. So he's more or less ready. You prep up for the coming time of heading into the Feywild, of going with Faraday and having him basically be brought back to life, because right now he's quite literally a walking corpse that has his full cognition of thought.
He's technically a revenant right now.
Yes, very much so, but with no cause. So if he straight up just dies, he's going nowhere.
Yeah.
That being the case, though.
Also, there's something
Go ahead.
Alpani would want to look into, if he has any magical. Because that right now, even if he does, he can't tap into it because of this whole kind of curse living thing.
Yeah, that's fair to say.
But yeah, so probably prepare everything, sleep, probably switch spells around so I can use the sending spell. Contact grandma.
Yeah, you contact your grandma and tell your mom and dad that you will be heading to the Feywild soon, but not immediately. Will take some time so you don't heavily surprise them. Faraday and Richard are already set to go, and you begin to march along. Soon enough, you do find steeds to ride and head off to where Grandma currently is. If you find her or not, we will see, because maybe something has found her during... No, she's fine. I'm not even going to joke on that.
Gonna say it. I would be more terrified of Grandma than Alpani.
Yeah, Grandma's okay.
Grandma can use magic, create gates, and fix portals. Yeah, I'm fucking terrified of that
From
thing.
what I remember, Grandma is a 16th level character. She's doing okay.
Yeah.
That being the case, you can't use her for your what's it called? Ex Machina. No, she's going back to the Feywild as soon as she's done. But you trudge off to where Grandma is with Farenday and Richard in tow and heading towards the Feywild. And we will discover what that means, because maybe Richard and Farenday bit off a little more than they thought. That's what you get for falling for someone you have no idea what their background is. And technically that's fair. Like, obviously you don't know someone until you get to know them. Hopefully it's worth it. We'll find out. As we end the session for today.